Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the internet and of YouTube. Welcome to Jibber. I am your host, as always, Tone Shift, otherwise known as Skijarama. With me today, we have a relatively large assortment of people. We've got the author of Human Nature and Their Very Own Sons, Blank Page.
Hey, Tone, when's the next episode of Human Nature coming out?
You need to write it first, so ask that yourself. Next up, we've got the author of the Change series, the author of Soaring on Little Wings, as well as co-author on many Idiosyverse stories, Tom117Z.
Heyo.
Next up, we have Paladin, who kinda had a humongous flub last night, and we'll be talking about that at great length today.
Well, actually happened this afternoon, but whatever.
It was this morning to me.
It was almost 3 o'clock on my side, so...
That's not what the thing said for me, but time zones are a thing. And lastly, we have Hades Shadow 92, who's also here.
Indeed.
So, how has everyone's week been, eh?
Boring.
I didn't dislocate a knee this time, so great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all you need right there.
I did cut my finger open on the canvas.
Oh. My week's been pretty good, all things considered. Anything else, or can we just instantly jump to the first topic?
Why not? Let's go.
Topic.
Well, our first topic is we're actually going to be talking about Yakity Sax a little bit. Now, if you haven't seen that episode or are unaware of what it is, audience, that's the episode that was aired over in Australia very preemptively last week. It's numbered 18 as far as like the actual episode listing goes. I'm not sure why it happened like that, but it did. So if you haven't seen it yet, or if you're waiting for it to release, more in the West, then now would be a good time for you to hop out of here, because those of us who've seen it are going to talk a bit about it, and spoilers abound. So there's your spoiler warning.
Well, that's not the first time they've released an episode in the wrong order.
It's not. You are correct, but it's still worth giving the spoiler warnings for those who are trying to wait for the Western releases. It's just being considerate. Yes, I know. I am capable of that. Shocking, I know. Anyways. Well,
Can I just add that it was aired in the USA
it was?
this week? The episode 18 was aired in the US as part of like some summer surprises Discovery Family event.
Let's not. Just shut up. Just don't. Just stop.
Before we get to the actual episode, I just remembered way back when we first started this thing, when we actually went through the synopsis of all of the episodes, and we got to this one, and we all just kind of looked at the title of this one, and we all just... I remember us having this very strange premonition of this episode, considering the name of it. Just think about it for a second.
There was a lot of misreading the second word.
Yeah.
Mating dance of the axe.
It wasn't entirely far off how Pinky was over that weird instrument.
Yeah. So that's actually the first thing I want to say about this.
What was this thing called?
Yovitaphone.
I'm still upset that it's not called the yak pipes. From the description I've been told.
What the Yovitaphone basic... Yeah, okay. All right. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, Tom. Now then, basically, what the Yovitaphone is it's a bag, a large cloth bag that you blow air into through one tube that then creates sounds through a bunch of pipes sticking out of it based on how you squeeze the bag and the amount of air you're feeding it. As a result,
Basically bagpipes.
it's literal bagpipes.
The axe is Scottish, it's confirmed.
God damn it.
Philip says it's not the yak pipes.
Yes.
They had the perfect chance, and they blew it.
Yeah, well. As
Where
they...
are the kilts?
Their fur kind of looks like kilts if you look at it hard enough. But as it is, as things stand, at some point, the episode opens up with Fluttershy and Angel just doing their thing, picking flowers, being all serene and peaceful, and oh, it's so pretty. And then it,
Serene.
shut up. And then in the distance, that what sounds like a boar being tortured to death, and excruciating agony echoes across the landscape. And Fluttershy, being the caring creature she is, rushes over to see what the fuck is going on. Turns out it's just Pinkie Pie playing the Ovidiphone. It's not really much of a difference, because it's, instead of just murder, it's fucking genocide for everything in a local region. because it sounds awful. She just got it from Yakistan. She's playing it, and things are like dying and running away.
I love that it blew the feathers off a bird.
From Yona, or whichever the little one's name.
Yeah, Yona. Yeah, she got it, and she is awful with it.
God damn it.
At first, the rest of the main six are like, okay, well, we'll give her a little while, see if she gets better, and we'll try to support her in getting better. And she didn't get better. Yes, it just and when they're watching her put on one of these impromptu displays of playing the Ovidiphone, when she finishes whatever the hell the song was, Pinkie Pie then lies down with the Ovidiphone right next to her, drapes a foreleg at it, and then gives it a smile that says, in no uncertain terms, I am going to fuck you up in all of the most wonderful ways tonight.
I swear.
It was basically, I'm going to fuck you, the facial expression. She was even like rubbing circles into it with the tip of her hoof, like it was a lover's chest or something.
Okay. I don't think we don't need more details. I don't need to know what Pinkie does with that thing in her spare time.
I mean, she sits on it, obviously. It has the shape.
Whatever rocks her boat. Although this is a nice little character development for her, because mostly when we think of Pinkie, it's like, yeah, it's Pinkie. She can do everything because it's Pinkie.
Yeah.
Now,
I like the fact that it's taking a moment to point out that, yeah, she sucks at this. Although it is, although it does come to my attention that this episode kind of undermines some of her other more widespread character development with the fact that, while she is not at all hesitant to put away the Ovidiphone when everyone tells her that she's bad at it and it's making them uncomfortable, she puts it away without any problem, being considerate for her friends. But as soon as she does that, she goes from Pinkie Pie to Pinkamena pretty much overnight. She just becomes hopelessly depressed, and as if this one instrument was the one thing that mattered to her. And while there's a lot of good humor in the episode, that particular aspect of it, Pinkie Pie's sudden shift into depression, does not make any sense to me. It wasn't a severe enough thing to warrant that, especially considering how she's somehow managed to mature over the last few seasons. Like she's still Pinkie Pie. That's never gonna change. But she's more sensible in a lot of ways. More considerate. She understands the concept of personal space now.
she does.
Yeah, remember? Because she had to give Maud personal space so that Maud could move into Ponyville. She had to learn that lesson the hard way there. She's still not good with personal space, but she understands the concept and makes an effort now. At least that's what I've seen.
Though I think she kind of lost that a little bit with the whole boyfriend thing.
I mean, to be fair, she was protective over her sister, and that makes it understandable. Context is important here, but still, as things stand, I feel like her reaction to not playing the Ovidiphone was a bit extreme for her. Maybe especially since her friends tried to break it to her really gently, and they did break it to her gently. That it shouldn't have bothered her. Now, on the other hand, if say Rainbow Dash or Applejack decided, like they lost their temper because of how bad she was and just let it slip in a blunt and not at all gentle way, then it would make a bit more sense that she got so upset about it, because then it wouldn't just be that, oh, I'm bad at this instrument. It's like, oh, I'm bad at this instrument and my friends hate me now. It would have made a bit more sense then.
Also the fact that she acted like it was the only thing in her life that made her happy, even though she had it for like a week.
It just seems like a bit of an extreme exaggeration, even by this show's standards. And the lesson itself of the episode overall, I get what they were trying to go for, but the way it's presented kind of falls flat.
I feel like it would have been better of a lesson if they also added in the whole time and a place, and they addressed what she was doing at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah. Because the idea is that the lesson behind the episode is pursue and do what makes you happy. But and I get the feeling they wanted to add in the notion of, but not at the expense of others. But they kind of glazed over that way too much. So, and obviously playing the Ovidophone makes Pinkie Pie very happy. She loves it to bits. And that's fine and all. But of course, like she sucks at it, and there has to be a time and a place. And in the middle of the night when Fluttershy's trying to put away her animals, that's not a good time or place. But like in the middle of like a hut in Yakistan, that's a good time and place. Or like in the privacy of her own, party basement. That, like, if her friends come and it's just them, that's a good time or place. No one else is gonna have to be subjected to it, and her friends have the decency to take it.
Yes, and not in an apple orchard where the apples pop like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot of humor that I liked in the episode, and I did like seeing Pink and Mina again. And I did enjoy seeing Pink and Mina Pie again, but the lead into that and like the overall reasoning behind it, there was a lot to be desired there, and so it kind of fell flat for me. It's not the worst episode I've ever seen. That honor still goes to the one where Spike pledged herself to Applejack.
I think it's gonna be the one that you deny existence of.
I feel like I want to go back and look who wrote this episode, because it sounds like the same guy who might have done the Rainbow and Applejack one, where they just kind of glossed over all their...
Oh yeah, that episode exists, doesn't it?
It does, and I'm starting to think the writer might be the same guy who did Yakity Sax.
This episode wasn't that bad. Like, my two least favorite are the non-compete clause and Three's the Crowd. They're my two least favorite episodes of the show.
I can't remember.
Perfect Pair's the best one.
Well, I'd say maybe we could just put that as a little topic for later.
Yeah.
Our least favorite episodes.
Yeah. Well, as things stand, so, but like overall, I feel like there was potential for a good episode here. They just mishandled it a bit.
It flopped.
It kind of stumbled out the gate, fell to its hands and knees, and just kind of like
Flopped.
yeah. I wouldn't say I wouldn't say it was a total flop, but I would say it was definitely lackluster and kind of disappointing, but not the worst episode I've ever seen. And again, there was some good humor in there.
So you know that the scene where Pinkie and Rainbow before she thinks Mina, combined with the crazed facial expression Rainbow accidentally pulls on her, that was a different, right?
Yeah, it's gotta be.
On the part of Hasbro.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you remember that one time where Pinkie Pie cut up Rainbow Dash and turned her into cannibal cupcakes? Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me of something I found very creepy in the episode where Rarity has Pinkie in the boutique.
And and the lipstick that gets smeared on her face.
Yes, kind of reminds me of that one creepy pasta of Jeff the Killer or something like that.
No.
Oh, that's a story I haven't heard in ages.
That's a story I haven't heard.
What's
It's a dude that
It's
tells you to go to sleep, you go to sleep, and then he murders you.
it's a story
Yeah.
you probably don't want to
Well,
hear.
like a
Crappy
knife or
quality,
something.
from what I've been told.
Well, to be fair, a lot of stories along that line are pretty crappy in quality.
Pretty much the only creepypasta that I actually bothered to look at and had any enjoyment with was, I think it was Strangled Red.
Never heard of it.
Haven't heard of it.
It was a Pokemon one, and I only just kind of found it by coincidence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I may have heard of it then.
Yeah.
There are a few from
Sonic.exe, I've heard of that one. Weird.
Yeah, it's just
No,
kind of
yeah,
it's
that was like-
that one's just kind of generic.
I only know
throwback to,
that
like,
one
what,
because of Markiplier
2012?
playing the game.
It's crazy.
Anyways, we still got more topics to get to, so next up,
I want to hear the second one.
Paladin, it's time to talk about your little mistake last night, or this morning rather.
Well, to that.
What did
So-
he do
For me, it was
this
this
time?
afternoon. For
That-
you, it was this morning.
Yes. Anyway, so
What did he do this time?
well, allow me to tell the story. So last night, new user joined the server named fucking Claudius. We've changed his username to Bucking Claudius for Tangi's sake,
Oh, right.
because you don't like swearing. Yeah. But anyway, so and we all hopped into Lurker's Lane for a while. Me, Paladin, Malifaux, and Claudius, and we just kind of shot the breeze for like an hour with me doing a bunch of funny voices and shit as we went.
Malfour, aka Knight.
Yes,
For those
Knight.
who-
Yes, Knight.
I don't think they would know about.
Continue.
Lovely call out.
Well, at any rate, after a while, for some reason, my Discord crashed outright. CTD. No explanation why. And so, while I was struggling to get back into Discord and get back into the voice chat to keep talking, Paladin, I guess being confused by my sudden complete disappearance, typed into the general discussion, "Tone, you alive?" And no more messages were put into the general chat for the rest of the night. Fast forward to this morning. Apparently some weird shit was happening on Paladins, and we can kind of gloss over that. It's not really important for this particular story, but
explain it.
The abridged version is that he wound up getting up really early and a lot of crap went down that kept him busy for a while, I guess. So he was really tired, but as it stands, in general discussion this morning, one of the people in general chat, let's see here, well, first of all, it was Silver Lyrics, and he typed into the chat in response to Paladin's "Tone, you alive?" from 4 hours previously. He typed, "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to celebrate, mourn the loss of our dear friend Tone Shift. Would anybody like to say a few words?" And then,
I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of him.
Of course you are. Anyways, then Knight went and said, "Tone, dear Tone, you were an utter bastard." And yes, I am including mistypos here. And then Silver Lyrics continued with, "How we laughed at you being driven insane. How we loved when you captured Tom and Blank as salty dicks when they are drunk." And apparently Paladin, being tired and sleepy and being in a stressful situation all day,
part of Tone's dead?
He completely missed the fact that it was all in response to him asking Tone, "You alive?" And so he typed in at everyone, "What's going on?" He didn't understand that they were replying to him. Apparently he thought that they thought I was a corpse in some weird way. and like the whole chat just kind of blew up in surprise. Like Captain Noble was like, "Eh?" Tuck's like, "Ah!" And Blank Page just typed in confused screaming, so I guess it sounded like, "Ah!"
Yeah, something like that. It was actually funny too. I got a message from Starfish asking what was going on in the server. I replied the message, and I was like, "I don't know, man. I'm here for the ride." I'm strapped in. Let's go.
I was too busy this morning, and then this is the first time I'm hearing any of this.
Yeah, and it was all in general discussion, and so.
I'm sure I just glossed it over.
So Paladin then got kind of.
Mass panic in the server.
It's like I'm like he typed, "I'm see dear Tone," as if he died. Tux just face huffed. And then after a little bit and it clicking that after clicking with him that I wasn't dead and that these two were just continuing his conversation, he said, "I am going to strangle you both!" at Silver Lyrics at Evil King Malafor.
So proud of you, Silver.
Yeah. So yes, and then he and after he went and explained why why his morning and afternoon were kind of sucky. I finally woke up at about that time, a little after noon. I read this whole exchange, and all I could say was, "Y'all are dumb."
Which if you guys in Jibber Jabber want to know, I'll tell you after we're done recording.
But yes, that was Paladin's little mistake where he thought that everyone else was implying that I was dead, which is not a.
Of course, I was horrified. There would be no more good recordings.
I jumped and saw that conversation and picked up this and kept watching YouTube.
I mean, to quote a video game character, "Whenever have I been that easy to kill?"
Well, has anyone tried to kill you before?
I mean, I have, but that's a story I won't get into here.
Well, I took a sharp turn to the left.
I did
I
take
mostly
a sharp
meant
turn.
outside forces.
Oh, well, then no. Anyways, we now have another topic to get to before things that just took a dark turn can get any... What?
My dog's shedding a lot, and she just kind of scratched her side with her leg, and there's a giant pile of hair now.
Anyways, so there is something I want to bring up for those very few of you who watch Jibber Jabber, especially for any of you here who are my
People.
yeah, and especially for like any patrons or would-be patrons of my Patreon page. This is kind of an important thingy that I need to ask about really quick. So for the last several months, the $100 goal that I've had on my Patreon page was basically just saying, hey, if we can get to this point, I will be much more capable of getting my new computer up and running. But that kind of goes against the whole spirit of goals on this website, doesn't it? The whole idea of like Patreon goals is, you get to certain points that you can give something of substantial quality and content back to the people who helped you reach that goal, right? So I went ahead and set up, I changed the $100 goal from this will just help me make sure I can get my computer up and running to if we can get to that, I'll begin recording making of videos for my readings. And what that basically means is that when I sit down to record a chapter or a reading of a one-shot or anything else like that, I'll also have video footage of the entire narration process, including face cam and my computer screen. And the whole idea is it would just be a fun little way to let my patrons see my process. And if any of them happen to know any ways I could improve or streamline my process, they'd be more than happy to give insight. What I want to know is, does this seem like a reasonable goal and a reasonable reward for said goal? This is mostly affected by patrons or people who would want to become patrons, so I kind of need to know this. I need to know if I'm doing good here. So, there it is. Input. Give.
Not a bad idea. Speaking of ideas, did you ever, I know I mentioned it yesterday, but did you ever, what are your thoughts on the Q&A that I suggested?
I'm thinking I'll probably just not do anything for it now, because right now it's proving more mentally stressful than it's worth.
Alright.
I'll leave it be for now. But what about the rest of you? What do you think of that idea?
People get to see making all your bloops early. So.
I mean, that would definitely be part of it. It would be the entire narration process. Not necessarily anything that comes... So, like, every blooper, every re-recorded take, and the application of voice filters a lot of the time.
Yes, you're screw
Yeah,
up.
they can see you carry on with your bloops and talk to yourself for a while.
Yeah.
And make pony noises.
Yeah, I do that a lot, don't I? Yeah.
I mean, just think, if you had done this before, they could have all watched you do switcheroo and talk about tooting Twilight's horn.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
What?
Oh, you can toot my horn all you want. Thank you for reminding me.
It's
Thank
time.
Thank you for reminding me that those are words that I created.
It's even
Funny.
worse the fourth time.
I'm about to say, you two groan at it, but you are the ones to blame.
Hindsight is 2020.
We still need to do the next idiocy verse.
Oh God, yes, we do
I'm
have
about
to
to
do
say,
that.
you kept torturing me with that for weeks, and it's
I'm honestly,
you
I'm
were
not.
trying to find-
I'm honestly not.
You guys are really pulling a me right now.
Do not compare us to you, Mr. Year Without an Update.
I just updated my
I
story.
thought it was more than a
so
year.
Screw you.
You were a little late, though, Tom.
Well,
Oh.
my editor got up late. So shush.
Excuses.
See, Blank is the guy who puts out a chapter and then goes to basic training.
I mean, hey, sometimes it be like that.
I know, but you went radio silent for well over a year. No updates, no blog posts, no comments, just silence.
And then, hey, guys, I'm alive. Don't worry.
Yes, you were. That doesn't change the point here. The point is, you are trying to compare your lack of updates to mine, and oh, that is like that is like comparing Godzilla to a gnat, and you are the Godzilla here.
Hey, I'm fine with being Godzilla.
No, no, you are fucking not.
Don't you
Like, specifically speaking, it's the gaps in our updates, that like the size gap in our updates that the comparison is. Tom and I's updates are like gnats in size. The time between your updates is like fucking Godzilla. It's months, whereas we are days.
Yeah,
put out a
Brian does it
chapter,
every
like, frickin'
couple of
every
days.
day.
Yeah, I do. Thank you for
Yeah, Brian
noticing.
does it every couple
I'm
of
still
days.
waiting
I
for an
do
update on
weekly.
Only by Philly, though.
The difference between ours, though, is that Brian will leave the story for a little while.
I thought Tone dropped that story blank.
Plus, a
Yeah,
different-
I guess he did.
I might come back to it
Plus, big
sometime, but
difference big difference between your stuff is that Blanks is like 2 or 3 times more words than yours.
A good portion of the time.
There's also, he's got a whole fan club just waiting for him to come out with another chapter.
Mm-hmm.
They're just waiting for him to come out of that closet.
Okay, you're gonna watch your words. Oklahoma and bring SmackDown.
I mean, you're a closet brony, kind of. I mean, you're here on Jibber, so I guess, you know, and you write featured fanfic, so
You're
I
in
mean,
the
but
raid.
like nobody knows me, so
I do.
nobody knows my real name.
I do.
I'm okay, but yeah, but you're in the community. Let me put it this way: nobody outside of the community really knows.
Yeah, at least that,
So,
if it makes anything feel better, Tone, I've seen his face, so.
Oh, so have I.
I've seen my
Many
face,
times.
too.
I've seen his face many times. And he's seen mine.
Yes.
But yeah, like I said, when I first saw his face, which has been discussed before,
He thought I was black. I remember now. That gave me a good chuckle. That gave me a
oh, because your voice is deep. And I've seen 0 white ones that sound like that.
Okay, that took me a minute to figure out what you just said there.
Not the real, right?
Oh, man.
I've
Oh.
seen 0 white people sound like you.
Well, now you have. You've seen one, and it sounds like him because it is him. Ha
Yes.
Me and my sexy
I mean-
voice.
Fluttershy sounded like a black man once.
I don't want to talk about it.
Cartoon. Not real life.
I don't.
Dare you?
I don't want to talk about it.
You've insulted my honor.
Ah!
Honor in here?
I don't
For
know.
honor?
No.
I was just improvising.
I mean, that's good because that's.
Going on a crusade,
We're
buddy.
British. We have chivalry.
Yes. Me and Blank shall go on a crusade.
I have chivalry medieval warfare. I'm fine,
No,
thanks.
do that one.
Was that the one that was really clunky? Or am I thinking about a different game? There's a game that came out recently. That was supposed to be like realistic medieval fighting. And stuff.
That's Kingdom Come Deliverance, and they are,
That's what it
and as I
is.
understand, they are working on fixing that. And really, the combat is a very small part of it.
Yeah, but it was pretty funny.
A lot of it is
Seen
getting
that.
diseases.
Oh, really? Oh, that's even better.
Yes, well. So I guess we're at the improvisation section now.
Yeah.
We're about halfway
I thought
through.
we've been there.
Wait,
Okay.
talk, stop.
We never stop improvising.
Open.
We're doing topics.
Open.
Oh, his dog's
Okay.
hold or something.
So I've just been like combing my dog, trying to get all the hair out, and like honestly, there's enough to make a bird nest. And she saw it and started clumping on it. I got those away. It's disgusting.
The-
Oh goodness.
You know, that actually kind of reminds me. Yesterday, my big brother finally moved totally out of his apartment, and he's down in California for the week, with his fiancée. He'll be coming back up here for about a month before the two of them move over to I think Rhode Island or something.
Hotel California.
No.
Living it up in the Hotel California.
You gonna let me tell the
Remind
story,
Another hotel we might know.
Tom? Guys, you gonna let me talk?
Maybe.
No.
Maybe.
So, as things stand, though, apparently this is kind of a funny story. So, for the sake of context, my brother's name is David. Fiance's name Mary. And interestingly enough, apparently at one point, Mary's mom came over to their apartment for their last night there, And like they were driving back from Silverdale, which is like a big tourist trap town, a few miles like a few hours out of town. And on the way back, there's this dog in the back seat named Coda. Now, apparently, Coda is usually pretty averse to people, but rather liked Mary. Like, Mary was under the impression, like, oh, I'm special. This dog really likes me. Then my brother comes along. And in the back seat, in record time, faster than Mary ever managed to accomplish it, David and Coda are snuggling.
Aw.
So Mary just kind of looks back and was like, well, David stole the dog from me. And she took like a few seconds of video of it. It was adorable. Now, after that, I and following morning, whole family sort of met up in we met up at a Black Bear diner in the neighboring town of Squim. And yes, it's pronounced Squim, not Sequim. I know it's weird,
Squim.
but yes, Squim. It's Native American pronunciation, anyways.
I'm sure.
Yeah, so in the town of Squim, we went to a local Black Bear diner, and they have huge servings of food. It's delicious food too. Black Bear Diner, yes.
I mean, did they serve Black Bear?
No.
Well, that's kind of false advertising.
Man. Hades.
Oh, I went to this one place. Okay, after this story, I gotta tell you about this really cool burger. Well, not burger. Bar and grill place.
Let me continue.
Crazy exotic things. I know.
I think I
Right after.
So, as things stand, we went there, we ate, like the whole family, like Mary's mom and dad, David, myself, and our parents, and, Mary and all that. We were all there just chatting, saying hello, because, Mary's and David are going to be futzing on over, like, all the way over to the opposite end of the continent in, like, a month or two, so like we're not going to get very many chances to, like, hang out for much. Like, we got next month with David, and then he's going to be gone for, like, 3 years, maybe more. So, but as things, yeah, I mean, they're going to college over there, so. As things stand, so after we ate, and and Mary shared the story about how David stole the dog, my first reaction is, I want to meet this dog.
Oh no.
Like, my interactions with Mary can be summarized as mutual playful antagonism.
You just love torturing your brother.
Mary and I just torture each other all the time.
Aw, you're supposed to tag team on the brother. That's.
I kind of do that by pointing at both of them and saying, whenever you two are in the room and slightly intoxicated, it's comedy gold.
You should record it.
Nah. And usually I also point out, like, to Mary, it's like, I mean, yes, of course you're insane. You're getting married to my brother. Usually I'm talking to her when I make jabs at him.
Shots fired.
Yes. Shots fired! Every time. But anyways, the point of the story is, this dog apparently is very averse to people most of the time, like very barky, very growly. Doesn't usually like new people. But I still wanted to meet this dog because David stole it, basically.
I feel like a case of deja vu is coming.
Well, we went out to that car, they opened it up to let the pupper out, and I went out to scratch him behind the ears. Or her, I don't remember what the gender of the dog is. But next thing I know, my hand went from really dry in the summer sun to sopping wet. Because Coda saw my hand coming, it's like, a hand, I must lick it! Yay! So it's like, I was expecting like a bite or something, but no, I was just getting slobbering, and it was amazing. Hugged the dog and all that. And
It's the dog away.
it is the dog away.
I'm about to say it. I'll tell you what it reminds me of. It reminds me of Twin Peaks.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
You know?
At least it wasn't your face this time.
Although my face did get a few licks from Coda. That's what's worth noting.
Aw.
Speaking of Twin Peaks, Willie, wasn't that thing we were going to do, like, dates on that thing?
Do we want to like give an update to the audience on the progress of Twin Peaks?
A lot of it. So much of it.
Yeah, like a.
Say, we made a
Yeah,
record.
apparently. I need
Yeah,
to.
I wasn't there that day.
Yeah, I need to get caught up on it. So yeah, feel free to catch me up too.
Okay, so couple days ago, after I'd helped my brother move a lot of shit out of his apartment, I didn't get any sleep. Following day, yeah, I was very grouchy. But the following day, we made like a fuck ton of progress on Twin Peaks. It was actually great at helping me stay awake and stay aware and alert.
I loved how it started. It started with Tom poking Tone to post anything. Then he proceeds to, and I quote from, and here, let me quote from the actual thing here, if I can find it.
4 paragraphs. I typed in 4 fucking paragraphs.
He's talking about your response to my poke.
Your response to book. It's gotta be here. Here it is. And I quote: Rip's arm holding the. Let's say Tom pokes him with long stick. Rip's arm holding the stick off, beats Hades to death with it, then gives stick to Blank.
Yeah, essentially.
Still your turn.
Yeah, to essentially translate what that means, Tom poked me with a stick, so I ripped his arm off. I beat Hades to death with it. I'm not sure why. He didn't do anything. And then I gave the stick to Blank. I can't really follow my own line of logic there. I was tired. Yes.
Drunk on insomnia.
Yes, I kind of was that. But it was...
Man, I wish I was there to actually pick up the stick. I may have done something with it.
Yes, well, as things stand, and then I proceeded to make my post, and it was 4 paragraphs long, so... Where things last left off in our descriptions of Twin Peaks, there was some basic efforts going. Characters Lumberjack and Sprout were working in the area immediately surrounding, the camping area for Twin Peaks, trying to find good farm ground and good lumber, acquisition sites for trees and construction supplies, good places like that. Sprout is searching around. And while everyone else basically. Moonlight and Crowcaller went with Sky Chaser into the surrounding landscape a bit farther out to look. Storm Chaser.
Neither of you can get her name right anymore. It's like
Storm Chaser. Whatever.
Exactly.
So.
That Pegasus is just in charge of it.
Yes.
Yeah,
So.
what was your name again?
I know, right?
It was fuck you. That's what it was.
Well, anyway, so they were going out, and Race and some other character who I don't actually remember the name of, I'm sorry, Hades, we're sitting down to talk about, like, financial, economic shit in town. So most... Skystar. So most of that day's update happened with Crowcaller and Moonlight and Storm Chaser. Let me double check.
The only reason that we can remember Lumberjack is because of his connection to the Fiends trilogy, and then the other two are like.
And it's a very memorable name.
I know, right?
But anyway, so
Monster Stallion.
so to summarize the events of our latest update with Twin Peaks, Crowcaller and Moonlight, while flying around a Storm Chaser trying to find things, wound up coming upon this beautiful lake at the top of a cliffside with its contents being deposited via a waterfall down said cliffside, and it was being fed by a large river farther up one of the 2 mountains that the town rests between, hence the name Twin Peaks. Anyways, so Crowcaller and Moonlight wound up, they kind of decided to, do some searching for stuff along the edges of the water, finding, ingredients that would be good for herbalism and berries and fruits of other varieties, and the large party of Pegasi split into 2 halves. One searching like the immediate area around the lake and surrounding forested hills and such, while the rest went up the mountain to look for like caves and shit, for like mining materials and the like. So, while all of that was happening, okay. So there's a bit of, character development between Crowcaller and Moonlight, where like some of Moonlight's backstory with her mother came up because Crowcaller found some Luna berries, which are a thing I'm sort of injecting into here from the Little Flashes series. A type of berry that has long since been grown in Hollow Shades is like one of their primary exports. It can make a fantastic juice and cider that even Applejack respects. Yes. So, but now they do grow in the wild, not usually in most places in Equestria, and they usually blossom best under moonlight, hence the name Luna berries. But as things stand, Crowcaller found some, Moonlight went and picked some, and it reminded her of her foalhood and like how she lost her mother or some such back then. It hasn't been explored in great detail yet, so I can't give much more detail or deliver it more seriously than that, because I'm just kind of rambling all of this off the top of my head. But after that, a loud, pained shout echoed across the whole environment. And
you're missing the jump scare.
oh, right. At one point, Moonlight dived down into the little, like, gathering of water at the bottom of the waterfall to look for more herbal ingredients. And while down there, she wound up finding bones that belonged to a wild animal of some sort. But at first, she thought they were the bones of a pony. So, bit of a false alarm there. Then an alt false alarm happened when someone farther up the river let out a loud, agonized shout, prompting Crowcaller, Moonlight, and the rest of the squad, to go flying up there and check what it was. And some poor green stallion had gotten his leg frozen in the river, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense because it's a sweltering day.
Yep. Then Moonlight immediately goes into doctor mode.
Yep. Moonlight went.
He's whimpering and moaning and
Yep.
resisting the urge to scream about the pony in the cave.
Yep.
The pony in the cave.
Yep. And there was all kinds of spooky sheets, spooky shiza.
The cave was empty. Woo.
Yep, eventually they managed to get his leg out of the ice, and they made a makeshift stretcher to carry him back to Twin Peaks. And Crowcaller and Moonlight, went along to do their thing with that. And it was not exactly a fun experience for the two. The once beautiful lake didn't feel quite so beautiful in the aftermath of that anymore. And that's where we left off with them heading back to town to get this guy more medical attention and report to the rest of the town like, hey, there's some weird shit up there. Don't go.
Well, we'll go because but
Because stupid decisions, because stupid decisions are a thing that matters in horror.
it's also the fact they think about it. They're gonna want to know if there's something dangerous up there. But and then investigate the whole claims of the public guy saw even though the cave was empty according to Storm Chaser.
Well,
Also, things ended slightly differently for Crow and Moonlight. Because Crow came out this traumatized, Moonlight came out this a good job.
It seemed a little bit of a flop between their first encounter. Moonlight was the really shy and timid one, and then Crow was the one who had a little more confidence.
I mean, the thing is, Crowcaller is socially shy and awkward, but a lot of her more confident things just comes from scavenger birds. She loves crows and ravens and buzzards and those kinds of things. Scavengers.
I will say though, the very beginning of it was so frustrating because we had 3 people who all of their personalities they put as, oh, they're very shy and socially awkward, and it's like, how are we gonna do this then if no one wants to talk to each other?
2 of them were.
Well, there were.
Yeah.
Rise.
Me and you, but
Yeah, we were the talkative ones.
I say Rise.
the two stallions were the talkative ones. Freaking mares were the shy ones.
Yeah.
And sexism, yay.
To be fair, Crowcaller can be very socially forward when it comes to ponies she knows and likes. Already she's very open with Sprout because he gave her excellent bread. As of right now, it basically just amounts to he makes good food. I can be friendly with this guy. It'll probably turn into much more than that later on as they actually become friends, but for now it's just he makes good bread. Hey, okay. Let me put it to you this way. If romances actually spring up and it's a natural spring up, I say let it happen.
You would almost say it would
Don't
sprout
stop to
up.
have sex because you will die.
Hey, Tom, you might say romance might just sprout up.
I am going to shank you.
It'll
No
go as far
part.
as the crew flies.
That's it. You're the first one that does.
God damn it.
Well, I guess you'll be running on a skeleton crew.
See, that wasn't even a pun. That was just no effort whatsoever.
Well, one way or another, it's gonna rise up.
Oh, Tom's getting in on it.
Tom!
All while underneath the moonlight.
Leave my Moonlight out of it.
I am going to strangle all of you.
I call copyright.
With a spoon!
How do you strangle
Alright.
someone with a spoon?
Very carefully. You see, here's what you do. Here's what you do. You heat it up until it's red hot. Then you beat it with a hammer until it's not a spoon anymore. It's a long fucking wire, but it's still technically a spoon because it came from a spoon. And then you strangle people with that long piece of spoon wire.
It's like saying you're beating someone with a tree, but you like whittle down one of the branches into a spear. So it's still a tree.
It doesn't. When you create something from something else, it's not something else anymore. It's like when you have a broom, you replace the handle.
Let me have my joke.
Never.
Y'all suck.
We could make jokes from it.
Y'all suck.
I don't let me in with them.
No, you're fine, Hades. You're okay. You didn't make any bullshit puns. You get to live today.
Thank you. What was
I
that,
got
Tom?
getting Hades in.
Oh, so he's
Hades
getting
wants
close
to.
to
He just sits there like a boy.
Well, speaking of which, I got a topic we can use on hate. You know, have Hades.
Uh-oh.
Hades discuss when he met one of his favorite authors on a server.
Oh, boy.
Okay,
Well,
one, fuck you. Two, I really don't think the context for this will be really
well, the
anything.
fact that Somber, the writer of Project Horizons, is in a Fallout server.
Thank you, Tom.
We could.
Fanboyed. It was awesome.
One thing we could do, it occurs to me.
Paladin even quoted him.
Well,
You,
one thing we could do, it occurs to me, is, at some point I might actually bring Fallen in as a special guest just to talk about having to edit Hades' writing.
Can we not?
That seals it. We're gonna do that.
I feel like there's a
I'll
story
say,
now.
it's already been told how all of you feel about my story in Jibber Jabber, so
Yeah,
I don't think
yeah,
you
yeah.
guys want to hear about the editing of it.
Oh, but we do. We do. I want the whole world to hear how Fallen had to write a poem to express how he felt about a mistake you made.
Okay, that's sleep deprived. So
My point fucking stands.
What was the mistake? What did you do?
none of
Man?
your business.
I am very curious now as well. I mean, I didn't even know Fallen was your editor until.
I didn't even know you wrote a poem.
I hate all of you.
To
Gather
qu-
around, Keys.
to quote-
Hades has a story for us.
To quote the
Also,
doc,
Hades does not have anything for you.
to quote the doctor, when you said "I hate all of you," to quote the doctor, no, you don't.
Let's see. Let's see here. On my to-do list today, who needs to die first?
Hey, I found your reaction to Somber joining the server.
Then
Wait,
it
who's on your
will be
first to die?
Tom.
Oh, could you copy paste that into Jibber Jabber roll call so I could read it aloud?
Oh, do better than that. I'm gonna make a screenshot.
Oh boy!
I swear to the Lord, no.
I'm an atheist,
Yeah, that's what I
unfortunately
don't
for you.
Finally, someone's getting tortured and it's not me!
Don't
Oh,
worry,
you're
we'll
next.
go back to you
Don't worry,
later.
we'll bring it back
Fuck
to you.
all of you.
Oh, that's small text.
Ah.
Well, you can click on it so it enlarges.
Come on, Hades. We all get tortured except for you. You get your moment.
Alright, so, time to read this aloud.
This isn't that bad.
So, Hades Shadow 90. So, Hades said, Somber, welcome. It's an honor and a pleasure. Hades' middle finger flipping paladin over in the actual chat. Somber replied, thanks. Someone sent me an invite and I went, oh, look, another place to lurk. Smiley face. Hades' response, well, okay, let me just get this out of my system. Project Horizon is by far my favorite fic, and it was amazing. Blackjack is my favorite character by far, and I loved your story so much.
That was a little bit of an exaggeration, but we'll roll with it.
Somber's response, thanks. Glad you liked it. Fallen chimed in with, lol, nice Hades. Hades' response, I couldn't help myself. Apologies. Somber, no worries. I've gotten more awkward exchanges. So, yes, that was, that was
That was Hades having a fanboy.
yes, that was, Hades having a fanboy. I hope I conveyed it with some degree of accuracy. I'm not going to ask Hades. I'm not going to ask Hades if I was accurate or not because he's clearly biased and he'll just say no.
He's muted himself now because he's having a small rage.
He's sending me middle fingers galore in the text chat. Oh my god.
Hades, we are utter bastards. You know this.
We love you, Hades.
That actually reminds me. I think I've talked about this before on here, but of course there is, the film fiction group, the board of utter bastards. Apparently Hades wants into that.
A song belongs there for sure, but...
Hades wants to join the board of utter bastards. Hence why he's writing a Fallout Equestria fic where bad shit happens, I guess.
To be
Yeah.
fair, I started that thing before the whole thing. I'm just trying to see if I do
let it wait.
get the Boston deal in there, you guys might actually find it worthwhile.
Well, who knows?
Well, I'm sure...
Time
you'll
shall
get-
tell.
Man,
You'll
if I
get-
could ever get around
when you get to
updating
the
my
chapter
stories,
where you-
maybe I could.
Murder one of your beloved characters horribly.
I get the feeling the author behind the story Blonde Moments, whenever I finish reading that story, I get the feeling whoever wrote that might actually be getting an invitation to the board of utter bastards. Because from what I understand, the ending of Blonde Moments is incredibly sad, but I haven't gotten there yet, so I don't know.
We're multiplying.
Hey, you
How
know
many people
another
are
story
in the board
ending
of
that's very, very
bastards
sad?
anyway?
Right now, I think just three of us? Wait, let me-
Four.
4?
Hey, you know another story that has a really sad ending? Head full of
Your
cotton
life?
candy.
It has to be stories we've read.
You should totally read it. I'm not telling you to do a reading of it. but you
I'm
should.
really glad everyone missed my clip there, 'cause that was freaking harsh.
What was
Yeah,
it?
I heard it.
I missed it. What was it?
He said, "Do you know a story that has a really sad ending?" I said, "Fine."
Blah.
I am very
Wow.
sorry about that.
No, it's fine. I'll get you back later.
Oh boy.
Next thing you know, what was it? Rice and Sprout are gonna be chased by a monster. There might be an accidental foot slip.
Well, luckily I don't read your thing, so.
Oh, no,
Read,
it's-
I listen.
No, he was talking about Rise in Twin Peaks.
Oh. You don't control Rise, I do. He's my player character.
I do control my character's hoof accidentally getting in front of yours when we're getting chased.
Luckily he's a zebra and is spry and nimble.
Let's not turn it into a competition to see who can accidentally kill each other first. All right?
No, that sounds actually pretty good.
No, not in this one. No.
We're all gonna go into the caves, and I'm going to leave you all to your lonesome.
Well,
It's
Moonlight
okay.
wouldn't
I'll
do
have a
that. 'Cause
stockpile of bread.
Moonlight wouldn't do that because she's nicer than any of them.
Yeah, that's a valid point.
You forget one very important thing, Tom.
Uh-oh.
That's
My character.
well, but you wouldn't make her do that because that would make her not a nice character anymore. That would be sad.
No, but the spooky spirits might make him do it.
Well, if the spooky spirits did it, she'd literally turn into a character,
Fair enough.
which we joked about previously, and his words were, "Don't touch my moonlight." So
No.
Sacrifice for the greater good. Do it, Hades.
No.
If it were any
I
other
I feel like we're just kind of grasping at straws here.
Moonlight has a special place in my heart, so no.
I feel like we're just kind of grasping at straws here because none of the audience is really gonna know a whole lot about what we're talking about at this point.
That's
I mean, we got
well,
7
there
minutes.
was our shitting on each other.
I have no clue what's going on.
Why
What-
don't
That's
you change
a good
accent?
idea.
You think maybe we should call this episode a Jibber Jabber early? We're just kind of grasping at straws here.
We've got like what 6 minutes
7.
left.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asked.
There is one thing that I wanted to plug in here.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
So, like I was saying earlier, I just learned this today, and it made me a little sad. Next year is the last year of BronyCon,
How come?
and me and a bunch of other friends are just decided, okay, we're gonna save up everything that we can, and we're going to get there next year.
What time of year is it normally?
This one I think it said August 1st to August 4th.
I thought BronyCon was happening right now.
It is.
Ah.
this year, Tone. I'm talking about next year.
So my question is, why is it ending already?
apparently, according to what my friend said, attendance has been going down, and I guess they just can't afford it anymore. Or something.
And also, the last BronyCon will be amidst the last season of MLP Friendship Magic.
And then, yeah, there's that. So
Yeah.
Oh, what they're
after Generation 4 ends, who knows what's gonna happen to all cons.
There's gonna be a Gen 5 con if it's good.
If it is, maybe.
We'll see.
The same
We
people
still have
making
all-
it, so there's no reason why it shouldn't be good.
We still have all the West Coast cons like BabsCon, Ever Free Northwest, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
And I need to get over to Ever Free Northwest so I can torture Tone in person.
That would be fun.
I don't even know if I'm gonna. I
wish
I don't even know if I'm going to Everfree Northwest next year.
you lucky Yankee bastards have all these cons. We have nothing over here very much.
I'm pretty sure there's at least one in England.
At least one, but yeah. No, I'd usually go on my own. Which is sad.
Yeah.
None of my friends in the real waking world are bronies. Just me. I'm so lonely. I
So
got
lonely.
nobody. All on my own.
Just us weird people on the internet.
Yep.
I wonder what the
And on
next
that
gen's gonna be
bombshell-
like.
Next gen,
There's a lot of
Well,
concept
there's a
documents,
lot-
but until that actually like gets an unveiling, we won't know for sure.
there's a lot of rumors that, like, after season 9, there's going to be. Technically, the season 9 finale isn't going to be the last episode of Friendship Magic, because after that, like this year, after the season, we're getting a feature-length Hearthswarming episode. So that there's going to be to expand the timeline somewhere, there's going to be a 2-year gap between this season and next season. Timeline-wise, in lore, I mean. But, kind of in similar vein, after season 9 ends, there's going to be a feature-length episode that's kind of like the true series finale after the season. And there's a lot of rumors going around, like spurned from the leaks, that in some way it's going to link to the Gen 5 3D animated movie that's going to kick it off. Which would suggest that Gen 5 exists in the same kind of multiverse along with Gen 4 and the Westwood Girls, and whatever happens in that in the series finale is going to kick off the events of that other universe.
So it'd be kind of like a soft reboot sequels kind of mix.
Yeah, and we're kind of like shifting to a different universe. Well, Gen 4 it exists in the same multiverse as Gen 4, so Gen 4 is still around and could even potentially come back. Because when they're doing Gen 5, Equestria Girls is going to continue. There's potential crossover there as well.
All right,
Soon the Mirror of Orcs.
all right. Sounds neat. Looking forward to see what they do with it.
Yeah. But Twinkles is there, so it's already amazing. But he's that's funny, so that's weird.
That reminds me.
I can foresee Twilight in Gen 5. She's going to, since she's an Earth Pony, she's going to be like this Earth Pony who researches all this magic but can't do any of it.
Or maybe researchers, or maybe researchers like more physical sciences instead of arcane ones.
Well, sci-fi style.
Yeah, I guess kind of like Sci-Twi. Can't use magic.
Yeah.
Research workarounds.
Maybe. I'm saying she'll know Applejack.
Well, we get to see
Artificial
Pony
magic.
sci-fi.
There's a whole point of this, from what I've heard, is that in the Gen 5 universe, Question doesn't exist, and the 3 tribes are still separate.
Like with their own like little planes of existence or something. Like they have their own little worlds that are linked up or something.
Either that or their own lands or something, we don't really know for sure.
That's weird.
And it is worth noting that all of the leaks we're talking about here, like leaked concepts, are still just that. Pre-production concepts. A lot of this shit is probably going to be very different from what we're talking about now, so any leaks you hear about Gen 5, take it not with a grain of salt, not with a block of salt, take it with a truck of salt. Chances are a lot of it is going to be very different than what you're hearing, so...
The only thing I think is really set in stone is the races of the main 6 in this new universe.
As long as they don't make it,
Pony, I believe.
I believe it'll be good
Not a
as
bad
long as
idea,
they don't make it like the gen before this current one. I can't remember what it was called.
One
Gen-
thing from the leaks, they want to actually make it, in some places, potentially a little darker.
As I understand it, they're wanting to bump up from like the I guess they're wanting to upgrade it to be a bit more like for like people who aren't like the age range of like 5 to 10, but more like 11 to like early teens, like a bit more mature. Like I guess more like Teen Titans in a sense.
People who started off watching Gen 4 at the beginning have grown up a bit more now.
Yeah. So it's kind of like meant to be like a follow-up. It's a bit more serious, a bit more mature.
And if it is literally in the same multiverse, it is a follow-up. It would literally be a sequel if the finale of Gen 4 affects Gen 5 and stuff like that.
Well, with that, well, with that.
And then you have us who are all in our 20s and we watch all these little ponies.
I'd like it if it was little.
Well, with that little spark of hope for the future going strong, it is time for us to end this episode of Jibber Jabber.
We have hope.
I just caught that.
Here's to hoping that it's good. That was not meant to be a pun on Twilight Sparkle's name, by the way.
And yet another unintentional pun for Township.
I'm gonna hang myself when this is over.
Yeah, you will.
You're right. But yes, thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to this episode of Jibber Jabber. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Keep listening, people.